When viewers tune in each morning and see Al Roker smiling beneath the studio lights, they are often greeted by warmth before they ever receive information. And that warmth, so familiar it feels almost inherited, has less to do with performance and with a lifetime spent learning how to stand beside people rather than above them, a lesson refined over decades and quietly reinforced by the shared life he has built with Deborah Roberts. Decoding Al's on-air empathy means understanding that it is not accidental. It is the product of countless moments when life pressed in from all sides, moments that taught him that news, at its core, is not about facts alone, but about how those facts land in the hearts of people who have already lived full, complicated lives of their own. For an audience in their 60s, many of whom remember when the news arrived at set times and anchors felt like steady companions, Al's presence carries a sense of earned familiarity, the feeling of someone who has aged alongside them, who understands that every story intersects with memory. Deborah, herself a seasoned journalist, recognizes this subtle art immediately, knowing how easily empathy can be mistaken for softness, when it is, in truth, a form of strength that comes only with experience. Together, they talk often about the responsibility that accompanies visibility, about how every broadcast has the potential to meet someone on their best day or their worst, and how tone, so easily overlooked, can determine whether a viewer feels seen or dismissed. Al's personal history, including moments of vulnerability and resilience that never fully disappear, informs the way he listens on air, the way he pauses rather than rushes, allowing space for stories to breathe. Viewers may not consciously notice these choices, but they feel them, especially those who have learned through time that empathy is rarely loud, it is quiet, patient, and attentive. Deborah has watched his approach evolve, softening where it once pushed forward, deepening as the years brought perspective, and she knows that this evolution mirrors their own journey together, one shaped by mutual respect and an understanding that shared humanity is the most valuable currency in any newsroom. In private moments, away from cameras, they reflect on how the stories they tell inevitably echo within their own lives, stirring memories and emotions that require careful tending, and it is in these conversations that Al recalibrates, reminding himself why connection matters more than perfection. For a generation that has witnessed social change, personal loss, and collective uncertainty, this kind of empathy resonates because it feels authentic, grounded in lived experience rather than fleeting trends. Al's ability to connect does not rely on grand gestures, but on consistency, on showing up each day with the same openness he offers at home, an openness Deborah both supports and safeguards, ensuring that compassion does not become depletion. As the years pass, Al has grown increasingly aware that empathy is not something one ever masters. It is practiced daily, refined through listening and humility, shaped by the understanding that everyone watching carries a story of their own. Deborah often reminds him that this shared humanity is what viewers remember long after the specifics of a forecast fade, and this awareness has guided him toward a quieter confidence, one that trusts the power of presence over spectacle. In decoding his on-air empathy, one discovers not a technique, but a philosophy, a belief that journalism at its best invites connection rather than distance, and that credibility is built as much through kindness as through accuracy. For those in their 60s who know that wisdom is cumulative and empathy deepens with age, Al Roker's approach feels like a reflection of their own journeys, affirming that experience is not something to outgrow, but something to honor. In the end, the subtle art of newsroom connection that Al embodies is less about decoding and more about recognition, the recognition that behind every camera, every headline, and every viewer lies a shared humanity, one that becomes clearer, richer, and more meaningful when met with patience, understanding, and the quiet assurance of someone who has learned, over time, how to truly listen.